Here we are at Renogy Ridge. Well, today it's cloudy out, so as you can see the sun's trying to poke through the sky there, but we are still making solar. And here out at Renogy Ridge we have all the other amenities. We have water, we have sewer, but we don't have power. So the challenge here is making power. There's a lot of shading, so as you can see the trees cause shading on the panel, and that will deteriorate the solar that you make. Now the sun, it's wrapping around the mountains, and in the winter time it's very challenging as that sun moves through the mountains and it moves around, all around, and then you try to grab all the solar you can. So when we moved here, we just started with this. This is one, it's a Jinko 540 watt panel. And we tried various things. We tried fixing it, mounting it fixed in that area there. And we lost a lot of solar because the sun comes up through the trees there and it's not facing the sun. And it just grabs a little bit of sun once it gets around over into this opening here. So we decided to make a platform with wheels. So for under $100, we ordered these wheels in off the internet, and for 2 2x6s and 2 2x4s. That's all we used. I put the reflective thing in there because it is bifacial. Ideally, I would paint it all white to reflect back, because you can gain energy off the backside. And in the winter this is important because when the snow's on the ground you kind of get more energy through the reflection. So the wheels enable us to move it around. You can aim it at the sun, and it makes a big difference if you see the sun's trying to poke through the sky there. So we have it, if I aim it about there, we'll go in and see how much energy it's pulling in. Now I kind of cheated here. I used a heavy gauge extension cord to get me part ways back, 50 feet. And it's 12 gauge. I know you're supposed to use 10 gauge, but I didn't have any. And I wanted to get this out further here. So it's high voltage, 50 volt panel, sends about 13 amps across at high voltage, and the 12 gauge is good for 20 amps, so we're well within. But you do want 10 gauge. I do have 10 gauge ordered in to finish it. I'm going to put another panel in, and we're going to run 8 gauge up to the hitch and put 2 panels out. We're going to have a panel on the other side of the trailer. So yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. That's the source. Now what we did, we came in, because you don't want to make holes and you want to keep everything inside. So we just came in through the electrical right here. That's where your electrical would come in. Should really be shut. Yeah. Okay. We're going to redo that and put 8 gauge up to the hitch, and then tee off to the 2 panels from the hitch. Now what we have here is just a cheap $50 tablet, and the tablet shows, so you can see on the tablet the battery voltage. There's a shunt, there's the current that you're using, there's the state of the batteries, 65%. And then down here it shows your MPPT, how much energy is out there, 64 watts. Not much energy today. So we'll have to run the generator later on. And you can go in there and learn a lot of things. You can go into the Smart Solar and it'll give you a whole graph of all of your... This is a Victron, of course. And well, there's your graph, right? So you can see each day. See, one day here we made 3.8 kilowatt hours out of one panel by moving it around. These other days are low because we didn't have the shunt installed. We just added the MPPT. Once you put the shunt in, it talks to the MPPT, and then we start producing more energy. So it's interesting. You do have to run a generator. We went with we want something remote control, so we have where's our little remote control for the generator? Right here. So we just take the remote control from inside and we turn our generator on. And we have our generator right here, right inside the doghouse. And there it is. So we didn't want to oversize or anything, so we just went with the benchmark 4500 watt. And it gives us lots of power, 30 amps plus another 20 amp plug-in. We were charging both campers at the same time. So it's a decent little generator. Good on fuel. It has a 12-liter tank. And the remote control's the best. We'll do another video on generators. The big thing on generators is they don't have an oil filter, so you have to change the oil. Change it once a month. Every so many hours, 50 hours. So if you're running it every day, it's easy to put 50 hours on it. So here's my remote control. You just press on. Let it run for a bit. Won't hurt anything. We're going to go in and look at the charging system now. And I have the whole charging system right under the bed. We'll go this way, I guess. Grab a light. And here's the whole charging system right under here. So there's the MPPT, the Victron. There's my 1000 watt inverter right there. And here's the PowerMax 100 amp charger. Then we have some bus bars, and there's the Victron shunt right there. And there's a breaker, fuses. Now what we did with the 1000 watt inverter, we came directly into the wiring. I just pulled out the breaker wires. It's 2 breakers. I went directly into the inverter. So we're running all the plug-ins and everything. And then we have the two lithium batteries are over there. So now the inverter's running, generator's running. So now I turned the generator on. I wired it into one of the breakers here because I'm not using an electric hot water heater. So I just turned the breaker on. And now you heard the generator kick in. And now she's charging. Now you can see this is the PowerMax charging there. Here, I'll give you a close-up. So you have to have a little bit of electrical knowledge to do this. But normally people would store clothes or something, or quilts, but I just made it my electrical room. And let's go take a look at the PowerMax, see how much energy we're charging at. Now here we are. This is a smart solar. I think it works without the light. Okay. So we have, this is our smart solar. So we're going to go to the shunt, the SmartShunt. It's at the top there. So you notice there's 89 amps going in. I'll click it. And I'll pull it up. So now with Victron, you can only assign the app to one Bluetooth device. That's the disadvantage. So we picked the little $50 tablet, assigned it as a console. So it shows your percent charged. It shows we have 91 amps going into it, current going into the batteries. The batteries are at 13.71. It'll bring them up to 14.3, and it'll show that they're full. So that's kind of how the whole system works. We notice the shunt, you know, you stand in the way down the hallway, that's where it is. The Bluetooth, you get in the way of it, sometimes it goes out. So that kind of shows what's going in. We're throwing 1200 watts in. 89 amps are going in. And then normally we just leave it like this, and we kind of check out both units. You can see what the smart solar is bringing in. It's bringing in 4.5 amps right there. That's sunshine that's coming in, and then that's pulling in 65 watts of solar power. So that gives us lots of information. Takes a bit to understand it, but we're running the whole household. We have a fridge that's always running. We have computers that are always running. We have a charger that's running on our, out in the corner here. This is our cordless vacuum cleaner, and it's plugged in. So there's always something plugged in. The tablet's plugged in. We charge batteries here, all off solar. Well, we run the generator perhaps once a day if it's cloudy out. So yeah, so that's kind of what we do. That gives you a little bit of a tour of the whole system. And I'm going to shut the generator off. It's quite easy. Normally I shut the breaker off first. Should have shut the breaker off. Okay, well, we'll run it later on. We usually run it, we're at 66%. We've had very little sun today, so that's the number right there, 66%. How's that? Clean the lens. Okay, so that's about it for now. Nothing else to show you, but that's what you get for about $3,800. That's what we squared that away at, and we'll put a little chart on the screen. Okay, we'll see you in a bit. Bye for now. Okay, so we're on my cost breakdown sheet here, and we're just gonna, that's what everyone wants to know, is the cost, right? Now, I bought from a local dealer here a Ginkgo 540 watt bifacial, 280 bucks. And you can't, I recommend you find someone local to buy these big panels. They're high voltage panels. They really work well if you have long wire runs. And like I showed you in the video, we even cheated and used some 12 gauge wire, which you can, we recommend you use 10 gauge. 10 gauge is rated for 30 amps. But this panel will only ever put out about 13 amps. And does it put out 540 watts? Yes. We had big sun days, and especially with rain droplets, we had this panel overproduce. It was producing 542 watts one day, 544 watts. So they can overproduce, especially if you have some rain droplets on it, we found. Now, the MPPT charge controller, that's a Victron Smart Solar. It's 100, 150. We can add another Victron panel onto it because it'll handle up to 100 amps. So that's why we went with that. It would cost us through a dealer 550 bucks. So what we didn't buy was the SmartShunt, and the SmartShunt came later. So I don't even see it on this list here. But the SmartShunt, you need it. And once we put the SmartShunt in, it started to work properly. So, wonder why I didn't have the SmartShunt in there. Batteries, solar panel, chargers, movable. So, no, I forgot the SmartShunt. The SmartShunt is $190, and you need that to make this MPPT working properly. Now, the batteries, we went with the 2 LiFePO Plus. That means it has a built-in BMS, and they were $1,250. We got them on sale, I think, for $580. Landed, I think both batteries were $1,250, something like that. Now the inverter, which is just a Renogy 1000 watt, is what we had. If I was to do this again, I would go with a Victron inverter, 1200 watt. They're a little more efficient and a better sine wave. But this is what we have. This is what we're using. It's working fine. And the price is right. Now the charger, that's big. A lot of people, if we just left the original charger and it was only 25 amps, and here we have, two of these 200 amp, that's 400 amps worth of batteries. Two of these batteries, LiFePO Plus. So that's 400 amp hours of battery. If you just went with the camper charger, it's a 25 amp charger. It would take forever to charge those. So that's why you want to upgrade your charger. We went with the PowerMax 100 ampere. Victron has a good charger. They have a charger where the inverter, it's a 2000 watt inverter that's built with the 80 amp charger built in. If I was to redo it, I'd probably do that. Of course, quite a bit more money, but it is a good way to go. But the PowerMax is a decent charger, 300 bucks. Amazon. The battery monitor, oh, here it is, the Victron SmartShunt. So it is in this list. That's crucial. 190. I ran without it for a while, and the MPPT just doesn't charge right. So once we put that SmartShunt in and moved them everything side by side, that was golden. The tilt bracket for the solar panel, Amazon, 90 bucks. Recommend you do that. A movable solar stand, you have to build it, wood base with caster wheels. We ordered them off Amazon or Temu, I think. I forget. 100 bucks. Cables and fuses. Full DC wiring and fuse protection, budget 200 bucks or more. Generator, benchmark, 4500 watt remote start, 5-year warranty, 700 bucks, good price. So now for $3,800 Canadian, you have your full power system. What would I do? I would add one more of these bifacial panels for 280 bucks, and I would have to upgrade a bit of my wiring, add a bit more wiring. So that's what I would do to change things. right now, and then on a sunny day it would charge a lot quicker. So nightly charging strategy. You're always going to need a generator because there's cloudy days. Especially if you're running a fridge. I'm running a fridge full time, so I'm running 1,000 watt inverter full time. Now, the reason I went 1,000 watt versus 3,000 watt is I don't need to run my microwave or my air conditioning on my inverter. So that's why you notice in the video I separated the wires and I hooked that up to the inverter. So all my plugins, all my lights that are 120 volt will run off of my inverter. That inverter can put out a lot of power. 1,000 watts is a lot of power. The fridge runs on it, and there's still lots of room for doing other things. We charge all our cordless tools off that inverter. So nightly charging strategy, let's say 20 to 30 minutes with the PowerMax charger, and we use our generator. The generator will use 1.2 to 1.5 liters per night. Tank size is 12 liters. We get 8 to 10 days off that. $1.33 a liter in Canada. So the estimated cost per month winter is 45 to 60 in fuel. And guess what? In the summer, when you have lots of sunshine, no generator needed. And guess what? If we double up on those panels, we invest another $280, a little bit of wire. This will even bring this cost down. So it's not a big cost, $45, let's say a month. In the summertime, I think one jerry can of fuel, is going to do it. A 20-liter jerry can is going to do you for a month because there's lots of sunshine, and we've had many days and nights where we did not have to run the generator because the sun did it, charged them up to float, and then that brings us to the morning, and then she starts it all over again. As long as we moved that movable panel, we could do it. Without the movable panel, we would need more solar panels. So that was key. And when you think of spending money, let's say you're hooked up to the utility grid, you're buying electricity. There's a service fee that's not even energy that everyone pays for, usually around $50 here in Canada. And you times that by 12, that's $600 a year. That's your service fee. That pretty much pays for a generator, that service fee alone. And the gas here, well, the gas is under $50. And especially in the summer when you have lots of sun. And if you did have two panels, I'm sure you can probably go a lot of the summer without running a generator. And the two batteries is fine. You just need enough solar energy to put energy into those batteries. So that's the key. So that brings us to about that. What do we want to say on the whole system here? Well, we put a little a little fact sheet together here. We're going to look at some things like why your solar system isn't charging right, the wire size mistakes. I had some mistakes on my wire size. I had to go to a number 2 AWG wire size for my PMAX. I had a 4 gauge. And be careful with your wire. I'm going to do a video on that and show you all about that. That's another day. But the Victron MPPT blind spot, why you need a SmartShunt. And you're flying blind without a SmartShunt. We didn't know that. This was a learned thing with Victron. The SmartShunt, it hooks right into, there's a wire that hooks it right into the MPPT. So it's just a little plug-in, and you have to order that. A lot of times, if you're just buying off Amazon, you won't know that. We found out because we bought our SmartShunt through the local dealer. And a lot of these local dealers, like Sunfire Solar here in Lumby, they'll match Amazon's price. Jillian matches Amazon's price. So that's what I recommend people to do first. And building your own system isn't for everyone. You go see the Jillian down there at Sunfire or your solar expert that you deal with. And there's a lot of these EcoFlow systems where everything's built in. Just plug your solar panel in. It's really simple. Sometimes that's the way to go for a lot of people. It's for us guys that like to play with power. It's a way less battery because you're only getting 100 amp in there, but it's going to run your laptops, your internet, things like that. Is it going to run your fridge 24 hours? I doubt it. Not if you want to run a bunch of other stuff. So that's where you need more battery power. And then if you're running a furnace like these RVs, these furnaces run, they pull a lot of power. They'll I notice they put about 11 amp drain, and you can see the drain right off the SmartShunt. You wonder what your fridge draws? Well, it draws about 7 amps through that inverter. You can see that all on the SmartShunt as things kick in. And you really get an education through the whole process of how to make power and how much power things use and how to save on power. So it's been quite an enjoyable experience. So when we talk inverters, 1,000 versus 3,000, why bigger isn't always better? Well, just your inverter running, it uses power. And the 1,000 watt inverter just running, it'll use 7 to 14 watts. Well, guess what? A 3,000 watt inverter will use 3 times that amount. It'll use up to 20 to 30 watts just for the inverter running. So it just, if you're not going to use all that power, if you're not going to run your air conditioning, your microwave off the inverter, then you can get away with a smaller inverter. But then you have to have some electrical skill if you're going to tie your wires in. You're going to be able to unhook them from breakers and make sure your grounds are done properly. So I'm not even going to explain that on YouTube, because I recommend that you hire, or you have a qualified electrical person that knows low voltage as well as the high voltage plugins. And so that's why we went with the 1,000 watt. We wanted to save on power. This is running all the time, so why, our fridge is only using a small portion of our inverter. There's lots of room left for other things. So living off two 200 amp batteries, what can you really run? Well, we're running our fridge, furnace, laptop, internet, vacuum, lights. How much energy does that use in a day? Well, we do nightly top ups with the generator, and you have to have a really good high amp hour PowerMax type charger. And future proofing, well, we're adding another 540 watt panel. The system can handle it. The MPPT is already scaled for it. So now, surviving the shoulder season, solar in cloudy, cold conditions. There are challenges. Your furnace cycles more, draining the batteries more overnight. There's tree cover, cloud effects, the harvest of your solar. And with our system, you have a manual tilt bifacial panel, so it helps a bit. Every amp helps when you're generating power. Backup plans is always your generator strategy and expansion. We even have a spare generator just in case, because we're the power company. So we're not paying anybody $50 a month to look after us. And guess what? When the rest of the world has power outages, we have power because we're our own power company. Okay, so our solar setup, what we do differently and what we got right. Well, we underestimated the wire size, visibility, and weather. So we had to increase our wire size, like I had said. Our battery bank, we started with one 200 amp, and it did work. We got through a lot of the winter, but we had to add another battery. And so these small changes made a big difference. The shunt made the biggest difference. Rather than just the MPPT charging at 8 amps, bang, it was all of a sudden charging at 30 amps. And if you had two panels, that would be 60 amps. So these little changes can make a big difference. We'll look over the cost breakdown. I think I went through some of that with you already, but it's not a big cost. The panels are about 280. The MPPT 550. The batteries 1250. The inverter 200. The charger, the PMAX 300. The shunt 190. The panel stand 90. So we kind of put together a nicer sheet here. The movable solar stand was about 100, and cable and fuse is about 200. So you got a total cost of about 3,100 Canadian, and then you have to add a generator in there. So excuse me. If you add a generator in there, it'll add another $700-800. And that's what it added us up. So that gave you a total system cost of $38.60. And that's what everyone wants to know. There's a lot of power there, a lot more power than you'd get, let's say, off a 100 amp EcoFlow. So, but then you need to be able to put this all together. Okay, well, that brings us to an end of the costing and why we did things and budget performance and so on and so forth. So why we did things and didn't do things. Okay, so we'll see you guys on the next video. If you have a question on living off grid, solar, put it in the comments and we'll see if we can share some advice and help you out. So until next time, keep living your day with solar. Bye for now.